Hi, my name is Agata. Welcome in Agata's Cottage. Today I would like to talk to you about patterns I'm not planning to make again. Few months ago, Sara, Nottingham Crafts, one of my favorite YouTubers, created a video about the top patterns that she is not planning to repeat again. And I was inspired by her choices, by her list and the reasoning behind it. So I start thinking about the patterns I already made and whether I would repeat them or not and what were the reasons. Stash Hub was great resource in helping me to locate the patterns, like remember which patterns I made because I did make a good few over the years and reminding me what I thought about the pattern just after I made it. And very often I will go back after a few wears and make notes on the specific project or on a specific pattern in relation to changes for the future patterns, or I will mark it as do not repeat. And I thought that I will share this list with you today without any particular order. The patterns that I'm not planning to make again are Patina blouse. I know everyone and their uncle loves Patina blouse. And to be honest, I wasn't sure at the beginning whether it will be something I would like. But I saw so many beautiful versions of so many people. And I thought, I would like to elevate my style a little bit. So many people recommended, my friends recommended. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna make one. I did Patina blouse in collaboration with fabulous Sam from So Let's Sparkle with Sam. And don't get me wrong, the pattern is brilliant. It's just not me. I never felt like me wearing that blouse. It's too feminine for my liking. I know some people say, but it doesn't have any frills, etc. But the very feminine deep collar with the little gathering on the top of the shoulders, it was just too much. So I gifted the patina blouse I did to one of my friends who works in the office, and she said it would be great additional to her wardrobe. It wasn't me. I do have two patinas in my work in progress pile. They are my wearable muslins. However, I do hacked them both. So one will be sleeveless version, kind of for a summer top. The other one is made without the collar, and I do have a feeling I will like it because it is without the collar. But my number one of patterns I'm not planning to repeat is patina blouse. Please don't flog me over it. Number two, and I'm saying this with heavy heart, but I'm not planning to repeat hipster dress by Ellie and Mac. It's one of my favorite jumper dress patterns. I made two for myself and two for friends. And although I like it, I don't love it. The jumper dresses I made, they are comfortable, they are nice, but I made few of them and I'm not entirely sure that the style fits me as much as it did in the past. My body is changing due to perimenopause and basically the weight shifted to my midsection, which is hard to get rid of or do anything about. And I feel like it's a little bit too fitted for my liking in the middle section, and it doesn't feel as comfortable. So I decided I'm not gonna repeat that pattern. I have ton of other jumper dress patterns, and I don't think that I will reach out for it again. And I love in general Ellie and Mac patterns, and I do think hipster dress is a good pattern. It's just not me anymore. The third pattern that I'm not gonna repeat is Judy T by Patterns for Pirates. It's a free t-shirt pattern. I made it during the So Frugal this year in 2025, and it's just too oversized, too boxy for what I like. The neckline is way like the scoop neckline goes so deep. Um, it's um, it's not modest enough in my liking, and I don't mind showing off the goods a little bit, but that was just too much. So I don't. I know I won't be repeating that pattern. There are other boxy patterns. There are other t-shirt patterns that I way prefer over this specific one. Another t-shirt pattern that I'm not planning to repeat is Galaxy T. I made it for So Frugal in 2024 or 2023, I don't remember. And I made it in this fabulous cotton jersey from Ecobee with cute cherries, and I finished everything with appropriate neckband and shoulder, like the armbands, etc. It's very cute. It's just too sweet. And I don't know if it's the fabric pattern combo or just the pattern, but I'm not willing to give it another go. I noticed that I don't really like when there is a lot of gathering on the top of the shoulder, because I have a narrow shoulder, but I do have a big bicep, a big arm here, and it just makes me to lose proportion, because relatively my shoulders, my hips, everything lines in the proportion. But with added volume here, I feel too heavy on the top, and with plus size bust, it's just too much going on the top part, and it's not necessarily something I would like to highlight. So Galaxy T is my no-go. I'm not saying it's a bad pattern. No, it's not. It's just not me. The one pattern that I would say that I will definitely not even go near again, not will cross my mind, is something that I actually haven't finished and I'm not capable of finishing. It's a cardigan. I think it's called Myra by Made Made by Oranges. It's one of the PDF patterns where you need to trace the pattern, but you can also get the magazine. So I got the PDF version of that pattern a few years ago, and I absolutely loved the look. It's very, uh, I would say, very manly, almost totalitarian looking uh, cardigan or a blazer with little raised neck, a zipper, no frills, nothing too fancy. So I wanted to make it for one of the night outs I was going this year, and I cut it out in this fabulous jacquard I got in whites in Newbridge a few years ago before they closed down. It wasn't expensive fabric, so I didn't feel bad, but I did love the look of the fabric. So I cut it out, and I did check all the measurements. I did apply all the necessary uh, checks, whatever it should fit. And the bodice would fit fine. The sleeve is completely another different story. So the sleeve would fit under the armhole. However, it created something weird. So basically, the head of the sleeve was so tall that it was creating little bump. It wasn't on the pictures or anything. There was no suggestions that it will look like that whatsoever. So I thought, okay, I will try to pin from the top of the sleeve down, and then it was creating some weird thing happening underarm. I was so frustrated with that pattern that the still not finished cardigan is sitting in my work in progress pile, because I know that I want to rescue the fabric because I still have a fair bit left, like around a meter left. So I want to rescue the fabric and do something with that fabric that will be wearable, but that's pattern that I will definitely not go near. And you all know that I normally don't say anything bad about the patterns. I'm trying to be honest, but that was one big flop. The next pattern I'm not planning to repeat is Harmony Blouse by Love Notions. In general, it seems like a simple make. It's basically woven tee with the bust dart and little button at the back. Nothing too difficult. And in general, it's not difficult make. The instructions are great, everything fits, etc. However, the block or basically the pattern doesn't fit my body. I did size XL with a full bust, and I know my bust apex is relatively high for someone of my build and my the bust dart was going so low that it just wasn't even funny. I was so upset after I made that blouse. I was so disappointed because Love Notions patterns usually fit me quite well and I don't need to do many adjustments. And this time it felt like it was too big, but it wasn't too big. It fitted relatively well around the shoulders, so the size was right. So I could try to size down and see if that will solve the problem and raise the bust apex. But to be honest, I lost all the heart towards that pattern, and I'm not willing to revisit it. Another pattern that I'm not planning to repeat is Betty dress by Sinclair Patterns. I love my Betty dress. I wore it on our Frogtails, Dublin Frogtails in 2023. I wore it on few occasions and I absolutely love it. I wore it for Alice confirmation. It's great, great dress. However, I do not need dresses like that more than one. And it's such a statement piece in my wardrobe that I don't feel a need to repeat it, especially that I have ton of other fancy dress patterns that I would like to try. And I do not live fancy lifestyle. Uh, I need fancy dress maybe 2 or 3 times a year, so there is no need for me to repeat that pattern. However, if you are on the lookout for a fancy, elegant dress that's not that difficult to make and it's in stretchy jersey fabrics, check Betty by Sinclair Patterns. Another pattern that I'm not planning to repeat is Tribeca blouse by Mason Faux. I absolutely love the look of this pattern. It's just fabulous, just beautiful, and I still love it. However, the version that I made, I wore maybe 5 times. It just makes me feel a bit restricted. I think that's the good word. Um, I had some problem finishing that pattern in the past because you need to be extra careful about making everything to fit in nicely, etc. It is a blouse that carries an impact. However, the time I put into making that pattern, I don't find it reasonable. That's the best way to describe it. I don't find it reasonable to spend as much time on one garment as I would need to spend to adjust the pattern, to do FBA, to actually make the actual garment because of the number of small little pieces that are going in. The excise precision, like you cannot be off by more than a millimeter because it shows, and it shows so badly that you will spend hours with the unpicker. So despite of the fact that I absolutely love how it looks, I'm not going to repeat that specific pattern. The last pattern I'm not planning to repeat are straight fit joggers by Ellie and Mac. And there is nothing wrong with that pattern. The pattern is great. The joggers are great. However, I realized that I don't like having a crotch seam so low, and because they are drafted for a man, they are drafted for a straight figure. Certain things don't go as well, or basically they are just awkward in some places. And I love wearing mine. I made them in this fabulous French terry from Ecobee. However, I don't think that repeating them would be a good option. There are other patterns that will be way less restrictive. This pattern has relatively narrow cuff, and after years of wearing high heels, I do have developed muscles in my calves, and this pattern feels a little bit restrictive there. But it's just how my own body fits into those specific trousers. As you see, my reasons for not planning to repeat certain patterns vary from it's not me to the pattern wasn't the best. So I think that's all from me for today. I wonder, are there any patterns that you know that you won't be repeating for various reasons? I would appreciate if you state them in the comments below. Tell me why you think you're not gonna repeat. Do you have any patterns that everyone else loves and you just think that they are not for you? I'm curious. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, clean your sewing machine and change your needle. Happy sewing! Bye!